Some days, thinking feels heavier. You open your laptop, and the simplest task feels strangely slow. Words hesitate. Focus drifts. Decisions take longer than they should. It's easy to call this brain fog. But brain fog isn't random. In many cases, it's the brain doing something very deliberate and very protective. The brain is designed for efficiency. It rarely reduces clarity without a purpose. When cognitive sharpness drops, it's often because the brain is redirecting energy, not to slow you down, but to manage something it considers more urgent. And the signals that trigger this shift are often subtle. Sometimes it begins after several nights of shortened sleep, sometimes during prolonged stress, sometimes after sustained mental overload. The brain senses strain long before we consciously recognize it, and its response isn't failure, it's adjustment. And one of the first systems it adjusts is attention itself. When the brain detects sustained pressure, it begins conserving resources. This often shows up as reduced sustained focus. You read something, but it doesn't fully register. You switch between tabs, not because you want to, but because holding one line of thought feels harder. This isn't laziness, it's the brain lowering energy demand in areas that require deep processing. Think of it as shifting into a cognitive power-saving mode, not permanent, but intentional. But attention isn't the only system affected. Memory starts adjusting too. The hippocampus plays a central role in retrieving information. Under fatigue, stress, or overload, its efficiency can temporarily decline. This is when familiar experiences happen. A simple word sits just beyond reach. You pause mid-sentence searching for the right phrase. You reread something, not because it's complex, but because it didn't stick. The information isn't gone. The retrieval process is just running slower, like a system briefly buffering. And beneath both attention and memory, another shift is unfolding. When the brain senses overload, its priority changes. Instead of maximizing performance, it focuses on maintaining stability. This means reducing unnecessary stimulation, limiting cognitive strain, avoiding additional pressure. From the inside, this can feel like mental dullness. But biologically, it's protective regulation. The brain is preventing deeper exhaustion by slowing non-essential processes, not to stop you, but to keep the system balanced. And this protective shift explains something many people notice. Brain fog rarely appears completely out of nowhere. It often follows patterns. Late afternoon after long concentration, after several nights of reduced sleep, during periods of sustained stress, or when mental input has been constant without recovery. These aren't coincidences, they're signals. The brain is communicating that its current load exceeds what it can sustain efficiently, and the fog itself is part of that communication. Brain fog isn't simply the absence of clarity. Often, it's the presence of protection, a temporary adjustment, while the brain manages resources behind the scenes. Understanding this changes how we interpret those slower moments. Instead of assuming something is wrong, we begin recognizing that the brain is responding. Because the brain isn't designed to operate at maximum intensity without pause. It's designed to sustain itself over time. And sometimes, slowing down is part of how it does exactly that. Subscribe to Vera and continue understanding the biology shaping your future.